Another conversation about AI coding tools and more. This is your weekly cybersecurity news roundup. I'm Allie Diamond, and this is ThreatWire. Did you know that Instagram has end-to-end encrypted chats? If you didn't, it's okay. They're not going to be around for much longer anyways. Meta came out to announce that they will be ending end-to-end encrypted chat features on the Instagram platform. The expected rollout of the end of life of this feature is to occur on May 8th, 2026. End-to-end encrypted chats were first offered in Instagram direct messaging in 2021. In a comment to the Hacker News, Meta explains more. Very few people were opting in to end-to-end encrypted messaging in DMs, so we're removing this option from Instagram in the coming months. Anyone who wants to keep messaging with end-to-end encryption can easily do that on WhatsApp. On a personal observation, this makes sense. Those who probably do need end-to-end encrypted conversations and don't know what that is, probably don't even realize what end-to-end encrypted conversations are and the privacy that is offered with it, and that Instagram even had it. And those who want the security and anonymity of end-to-end encryption messaging probably aren't using Instagram messages. If you're having conversations that need that level of security, you're probably moving off to another platform like Signal, Telegram, or even, as the Meta rep said, WhatsApp. On the other hand, having the offering of a level of obfuscation around the conversations you're having on any platform is good. Your conversations can't be analyzed or interfered by Meta. But given the history of the company, we all probably have a level of distrust for what they're doing with their messages anyways. Did you use the Instagram end-to-end encrypted chats? Are you sad the feature is going away? Let me know in the comments. In cybersecurity business news, Google has completed the acquisition of Israeli-founded, New York-based cybersecurity company, Wiz. The deal was finalized, completed, and announced by Google on March 11, 2026. The acquisition was originally announced in March of 2025, however, it was not unexpected. Originally, Google offered to acquire Wiz in July of 2024 for a total of $23 billion USD. Wiz turned down the offer as they were interested in exploring the idea of a potential IPO. In March 2025, Google put in another bid to acquire Wiz for a total of $32 billion USD. The acquisition of Wiz made history as the largest tech company acquisition deal ever. Wiz will become part of the Google Cloud Suite tools, but will continue to be compatible and operate with other cloud providers. Consistent with Google Cloud's commitment to openness, Wiz products will continue to work and be available across all major clouds, including Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, and Oracle Cloud, and will be offered through an array of partner security solutions. Google Cloud will also continue to offer customers wide choice through a variety of partner security solutions available in the Google Cloud Marketplace. Earlier this month, March 2026, Amazon had a 6-hour outage. Not AWS, but Amazon, the actual shopping store. The outage prevented sales/transaction completion, viewing account details, and more. The cause of the outage? A bad code deployment. In December 2025, AWS had a 13-hour outage due to Amazon's own AI coding tool, Hero, deleting and recreating environments autonomously. Amazon isn't aware that things aren't looking good. In an email from Senior VP Dave Treadwell, seen by the Financial Times, he said, "Folks, as you likely know, the availability of the site and related infrastructure has not been good recently." So what's going on? In less than a 6-month period, Amazon laid off almost 30,000 corporate employees, with the most recent layoff being 16,000 employees at the end of January 2026. In June 2025, a formal statement by Amazon CEO Andy Jassy was released where he preempted the reason for these layoffs. As we roll out more generative AI and agents, it should change the way our work is done. We will need fewer people doing some of the jobs that are being done today and more people doing other types of jobs. 30,000 in layoffs in exchange for AI tooling has not made things easier internally for employees. In another article from the Financial Times, Amazon employees are stating that they're basically underwater with work. Yet for survivors left to work another day, the mood has felt increasingly somber. Day to day, it just feels untenable. Our workload is increasing and the number of problems to deal with is just piling up, said one long-standing employee. Some managers know this is the case, but executives just keep pointing to some bigger AI picture. Allegedly, in the wake of the original layoffs, Amazon was doing it under the guise that over 80% of their developers were expected to use their AI tools, Kiro and Q Chatbot, at least once a week. This adoption would be monitored by internal AI adoption and monitoring tools. The reality is that this hasn't been the best move for Amazon, and they realize this. AI code is the reason and was the reason for the Amazon retail failure in early March. AI code has been linked to the reason for several AWS outages recently as well. It apparently was the reason for many incidents and outages over the recent months. The number of Sev2 incidents, or incidents requiring immediate rapid response to prevent outages, have gone up exponentially. The response? Amazon is now requiring all AI-assisted code pushed by junior and mid-level engineers to be reviewed and approved by senior and above engineers. It seems like Amazon is realizing that AI isn't at the level of coding expertise that it's expecting, and they realize that there's still a lot of work to do with the quality of AI coding. This brings me to the comment section of this week's episode, a reply to Christoph Backhaus. In last week's episode, he said, "Why do we need AI security tools when you can create safe code?" The reality is, right now, AI doesn't produce safe or production quality code. Over the past year, I've covered many stories about security, quality, and the effects of AI coding. They're in a lot of previous ThreatWire episodes, and you can find them on this channel. Sam Altman touts that OpenAI is the equivalent of a PhD level of knowledge of coding and other topics, but the reality is that AI can't even pass a freshman level coding course. This is an empirical fact. YouTuber MT_XING literally produced a 1-hour long video showing how AI can barely get a passing grade on the Cornell freshman honor CS course. I've also linked it in the description box below, and it's a fascinating watch if you want to see how AI did and how it failed. I'm curious though, are there any software engineers watching? How do you feel about AI coding tools? Are you worried? And how does this story affect your outlook? Other cybersecurity news you should know about. I'm here once again to let you know that you need to be extra careful with running OpenClaw. Of course we know it's bad, but you know it's really bad when China's National Computer Network Emergency Response Technical Team, or CERT, has put out a formal warning that OpenClaw is dangerous and should be handled with care. Two major Chrome extensions, QuickLens and ShotBird, have turned malicious after ownership transfers. The Chrome team has put out emergency updates after two CVEs, CVE 2026-3909 and CVE 2026-3910, were actively being exploited in the wild. These two 0 days involved an out-of-bounds write flaw and an implementation issue in the V8 JavaScript and WebAssembly engine. Thank you so much for watching ThreatWire for the week of March 16th, 2026. If you enjoyed this show, this is your reminder to like, comment, and subscribe. We are so close to getting to 1 million, so let's keep that ball rolling. As an aside, I know I ask this a lot and I ask y'all for feedback a lot on how things are going with the channel, but again, I'd love to hear what else you'd love to see from me or see on the channel. I don't have all the time in the world, but if there's some content that I could make to help get the channel to 1 million subscribers, I'd love some ideas. If you want to find me online, you can find me everywhere at endingwithali, and remember, good luck, have fun, and don't get caught.